YouTube, welcome you beautiful faces back to the channel now. A very special video, of course. So, I'm going to be showing you guys two games in which I've played very recently. First one, we play in the Scotch opening. We absolutely dismantle our opponent. Second one, I'm going to show you how to absolutely crush the London. So quite a variety, okay? One game with the white pieces, one game with the black pieces. But guys, I promised you I would take you on my ELO journey with me, okay? So here we go. Game number one. White pieces, like I said. Game starts e4, e5. Okay? Very routine stuff. Nothing too crazy. Knight f3, knight c6. Again, I think me and my opponent were just trying to see who could bore the other one first. Okay? Who could send the other person to sleep. Because there's really nothing special about this game as of yet. But after the move d4, things get wild. Okay? If you're not familiar with this, this is of course the Scotch. It's absolutely wild. It's mental. It's just all-out attack. Okay, you just rip open the center of the board immediately, which is kind of why I like it. You know, I just love to attack in chess. My opponent takes the pawn, so I of course recapture. You know, I'm not here to mess about. All right, I'm just here to take names and kill people or whatever the saying is. They recapture. Queen then takes, and then my opponent makes the first mistake of the game, and that is the move b6. Now the most common move here is Queen f6, then I believe I push the pawn. They then come over this way, and then we trade on b6. I'm fairly certain this is sort of a very common line in the Scotch when you exchange all the pieces. But my opponent, instead of doing that, or instead of just playing the very routine d6, decided to play b6. Now this just feels so passive, right? Like you're not developing anything, and it just feels very, very slow, especially because, like, yeah, you're going to have a beautiful light square bishop facing this way, but it's very common in the Scotch to get long castled, okay? So their bishop's going to be looking the wrong way, you know? It's like, if you're living in the UK and you go to America and everyone's driving on the wrong side of the road, I'm looking the wrong way to see if cars are coming, you know what I mean? The bishop's looking the wrong way. I then play bishop c4 and immediately lose all advantage because apparently knight c3 is better. Why it's better? I couldn't tell you, okay? You're in the wrong place. Bishop to b7 is then played. Makes sense. My opponent did just prepare that move. Knight c3. d6 just looks awful, doesn't it? I mean, nothing about my opponent's position looks good anymore. Like, yeah, they fianchettoed this bishop, but, like, you've just completely blocked in the dark squared bishop. So I hope that they weren't planning on moving that bishop anytime soon. Bishop f4. We get the move knight to f6, and then I just long castle, right? Because my plan is basically to get my rooks in the center of the board as quickly as possible, because the center is about to just rip open and just be destroyed, okay? My opponent plays bishop to e7. Like I said, I don't bring my rook to the center. I thought I did, but I didn't. I play the move e5 now. This looks more enticing to me. Number one, because, like, if you were to just push, well, then I'd just take your knight. And then if you took my bishop, I'd take your bishop, threatening your queen. And then if, you took, I'd then bring a rook over. So just pushing, danger levels, for example, is simply not an option. So it kind of feels like my opponent either has to take or move their knight to h5. The candidate move is knight h5. That's what the engine wants. But, like, who the hell cares, right? Like, I'm sick of the engine. I'm sick of it. My opponent takes. Now, aesthetically, this looks absolutely horrifying because after queen takes, we just have so much pressure on this pawn. But also, like I said, this rook is about to fly over to the e-file. And then look at the pressure we have on this bishop if you ever castle, right? Like, it's real dangerous territory for my opponent, right? Like, it's very scary. They go queen c8. Which I guess kind of makes sense. Like, you need to get out the way of the rook. I was kind of prepared for a move like bishop up, but that's because I don't have a brain, because obviously my queen is pinning the bishop, right? So that's why that's obviously not an option. They move over. But now it's like, okay, well, what was my plan all along? Well, it was to put the rooks in the center. And this bishop cannot be defended, right? So, like, just from my opponent making, like, two very small errors in the opening, I've just been able to capitalize by just bringing every piece into the attack. You know what I mean? Like, this is just crushing. They have to castle. I then take the bishop, and it's like, right, well, I'm up a piece. So I'm never losing this game from here. I mean, that's not inherently true. Chances are, if my opponent doesn't resign, there's a good chance I throw my queen away. Rook e8, I take with check, right? Danger levels. My queen's hit. It doesn't matter if I give this check, right? Obviously, king can't take because his bishop's defended. So the king has to go over, and then I pick up the rook. So, I'm up a piece. I'm up an exchange. My opponent in this position, and this is advice for all of you, if you're ever losing this badly, what you should do is get under your desk or table and cry your eyes out, okay? Because all hope is lost. There's no point in playing on. Just go cry somewhere. They pick up the bishop, and I'm just here to exchange now, right? When you're up material, just get all the pieces off the board. There's no need to mess about. I now just pin the knight to the king, right? The knight can't move, so you have to defend with a bishop. And then I came up with a really cool idea, actually, which I was very proud of, which is the move knight to d5. It looks insane, doesn't it? Like, just hanging a knight, but then I take your knight with check. So it would be like takes, and then you have to block. And, then I'm just going to start picking up the pawns on c7, and eventually I'm just going to go promote, or, I could probably even, like, sack this exchange just to make it even more simple. And I'm going to win this with ease. So I play the move knight to d5. My opponent doesn't take. They play the move g5. Or g6, sorry. Apologies. Just looking to create an escape for their king. So I take on c7. The knight's still very much so pinned, so I take with check. Bishop takes, I take. My opponent resigns because they literally have no pieces left on the board. So, of course, they resign. Guys, that's game number 1 for you in the Scotch opening. If you don't know it, I have so many videos on my channel covering the Scotch. Please go check one of them out. You have to add it to your repertoire. It's that good, guys. It's that good. Game number 2, however, I didn't play with the black pieces, so I wasn't able to seize as much initiative, but it's still worth showing you guys because it is a monstrous game. Okay? And it starts with d4, so we're mixing things up because who the hell plays d4? Guys, if you're a d4 player, don't talk to me. I then play d5, bishop f4, so clearly my opponent wants to play the London system. If you're not familiar with the London system, good, keep it that way. It's a plague of an opening. I then play c5 because this Steinitz counter gambit throws all London players off their train of thought, right? Like, they're not prepared for this. They're like, wait, hang on. I thought I was meant to just play the same boring 7 moves in a row and just turn my brain off. Like, what do you mean they've played c5 and want to take my pawn? It just throws everyone off. c3, knight c6, knight f3, knight f6, e3. So, like I said, my opponent going for the London. All the same moves, so boring. I play e6, bishop b5, bishop d7. Short castles, and then I go for a6, which is a little bit of a deviation from what is normal. I'm 90% sure queen b6 is like the candidate move. Yeah, okay, it is, yeah. Just putting pressure on the bishop and then putting pressure on this exchange in the center. But I played a6. I was going to say e6. What the hell is wrong with me today? Just asking a question of this bishop saying, where the hell are you going? What the hell are you doing here? They drop back to a4, okay? They keep the tension in the position. But it is, no real threat to me. I take in the center. They take back with the c-pawn. Engine would have preferred if you took back with the e-pawn, but I can understand why this looks a bit more visually, pleasing than, losing the defender of this bishop. I do get that. Bishop e7, I'm just preparing to short castle. a3. I don't really understand this move. I guess they're a little bit hesitant that I was going to, drop a knight in here or something, but like, why would that be a problem for them? Like, that's not really something they need to be afraid of. I short castle, knight to d2, knight e4. Engine isn't happy with me, but what you got to bear in mind is I literally don't care about the engine, okay? If the engine was a human being, no, actually, I wouldn't, incriminate myself by inflicting harm on a human. I tell you what, if the engine was a teddy bear, I'd do some unholy thing. No, that sounds a bit wrong, actually. Yeah, yeah. Okay, they take, I take, knight has to drop back, and then I go rook c8, sort of just hanging my pawn in the center on e4, because I figured it doesn't matter. Okay, they're going to take, I go queen b6, and the engine is absolutely despising me right now. But, just picture the engine as a teddy bear. No, actually, let's move on. b4 is played, rook d8, queen d3, and then I play this move, knight e5. Now, I was very proud of this move. It looks very strange, right? For so many reasons. Number one being, you just take, right? Like, you just take this knight? No? Well, the reason that wouldn't be, all that good is because then I take on a4, and my rooks are putting on so much pressure here. So your only move for white is actually rook c1 here. And then I'm meant to take, and then bishop c6, right? So this looks very uncomfortable for white because I have much more development. What else would be considered? I don't know, maybe you just want to take here. Well, that's exactly what my opponent did. And if you can't see why this is bad, then chess probably isn't for you. Maybe, just maybe, you should go over to checkers. Have you guys ever considered that? No, me neither, because I, don't hate myself. I, of course, take the queen. There's a hanging queen. I take the queen. They take my rook, and instead of just instantly recapturing, I take this dark squared bishop, which is given as the best move, and I figured this would be pretty good, because like after you take, I then take, and you don't have a hope in hell, right? So they take my knight, I take their bishop, they play knight c5, which I guess makes some semblance of sense. Like, it's a beautiful outpost, right? Like, it's really tricky for me to attack this knight. Psych. Knight's dead. Like, any semblance of hope my opponent had, dead. Okay? Just killed your knight. You take on c5, queen c7, g3. I guess my opponent's just trying to be as solid as possible, not allow me to take. But I just play e5, and I'm just going to start trading things off. Queen c3. I don't know, I'm just like trying to attack both rooks in case one of them was to move. I'm just like asking questions of my opponent now. And now I take on a3, they play rook d4, queen c3, attack the rook to d1. So obviously they need to keep their rooks connected, right? That's their only hope of keeping them on the board. So I then just play g6. Because I don't want any threat of back rank mate, obviously. Okay, I got to keep my king as safe as possible. And now that I've played the move g6, there's never any threat of me being checkmated, right? So now I can start attacking. So I give a check, my opponent goes king g2. a5, okay, I'm just pushing pawns. I now take, they play rook d7, so I just pick up yet another pawn. And after my opponent takes this pawn, the game is over because of a very simple tactic, which is just the move queen c6, right? I'm giving a check while also attacking the rook. So they're going to lose a rook, and it's just over. My opponent resigned. So two absolutely clinical games. I played at like 95 accuracy in both, but not inherently because I was like playing unbelievably and finding these insane sacrifices. It was just like small positional chess, right? Where my opponent was just giving me so much. It was great. But guys, if you did enjoy this video, please smash a like, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.